Drive a right-winger crazy. Help build a home of progressives by becoming a TYT member. Click the link in the description box below.
Fox News hosted a panel of independent voters and asked them a number of questions, but they specifically wanted to get these voters' thoughts on the migrant caravan. Now, what do they think about the migrant caravan, or what do they think about the migrants on the caravan? Should they be allowed into the United States, or has the propaganda from Fox News worked? I don't know, let's take a look at the first clip and see.
How big a problem is that the United States has uneven immigration laws?
I think uneven immigration laws are a problem for any country. And I think our immigration laws need to be modernized and updated. But this country is founded on immigration, and all of us come from immigrants.
Sure, so what should the United States do if those 7,000 people, by the time it gets here, it could be 10,000, it could be 20,000. What should the United States do about those people?
This is the mightiest country on the planet. I think we can handle a caravan of people unarmed coming to this country.
So let them in.
And, well, I'm saying to process them properly.
Right, okay.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
That guy, that's the most educated independent voter I have ever seen. And it's not a diss on independent voters, because more and more people are becoming independent for the right reasons. In the old days, independent voters were like, Republican, Democrat, I can't tell the difference. That's not a very educated in politics view. They might be educated in dentistry, right? But they didn't care enough about politics to know the giant difference between the two parties. These days, there's a lot of independent voters who are sick of both parties, and they're very educated, as you just saw there. So I love that Steve Doocy tried 3 different lines of attack. Like, I mean, it could be 7,000, it could be 20,000.
Yeah, just pull that, right. Pull that out of nowhere.
It's like they're bacteria or something, like 100,000, a million.
Right, and the guy's like, no. He's like, so you just want to let them into the country? He's like, no, I want to process them like we normally do.
So
Doocy's like, okay, moving on. So I didn't get what I wanted out of this guy.
So that was an example of the right-wing framing on the immigration issue, and I don't want anyone to fall victim to it. Now, I don't think any of you would fall victim to it. You're very smart, you follow politics, you watch the show, but what I kept seeing over and over again at Politicon during debates was, right-wing figures saying, oh, you just want open borders then, you just want to let anyone in. But no, it's not a black or white issue, right? Like, first of all, we do have secure borders. And so if you want to have a discussion about securing them further, I get it. The wall is a stupid idea, especially considering the fact that 80% of illegal immigration is from people who fly into the country and then overstay their visas. But anyway, we'll move on from that.
But what if we built the wall so tall you couldn't fly over it?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he proposed something like that. I got to be honest with you.
It'll be a beautiful, strong wall that knocks down planes.
And it'll have a door, a big, beautiful door.
A plane could fly through the door, to be fair.
Okay, so, but what I love is that this independent voter is aware of that ridiculous black or white framing, and he immediately had an answer. No, I'm saying process them properly. There is a strategy, not a strategy, but there's a method in place to deal with a situation like this. So let's do it. Let's do what the law says that we're supposed to do. So that was good.
John, real quick on the immigration.
There's a humanitarian crisis taking place in Central America, and yet this issue gets turned into a complete political football. There's very little honest discussion about what's actually happening. It gets turned into talking points.
And Aaron.
Yeah, treating this as an invasion is a bad idea, and it's going to end horribly if it is treated such as that way. So I think people have to realize, these are human beings coming here, and there needs to be a real solution offered in dealing with it.
Sure, but the backdrop is the midterms, and so it all becomes political.
His reaction is hilarious.
Who made it political? Steve, you did. Your network did. You're the ones who made it political. It's not like Nancy Pelosi was like, can you believe the caravan? Or Nancy Pelosi was like, yay, caravan. The Democrats haven't said a word about the caravan. In fact, you could blame the Democrats for not defending those poor people at all, right? But the Republicans have been on the attack. Fox News has been on the attack. But those set of independent voters, man, they were not buying what Fox News was selling.
And it was fantastic because Doocy's statement at the end was basically him trying to defend himself and Fox News for making it political, because that's what they do. Why do you think this story is such a giant story leading up to the midterms? It's all a way to energize Trump's base. And so, yeah, they do make it political. I do agree with that voter that it does turn into political football, that, in terms of politicians, they don't really take the issue seriously. They exploit the issue for political gain, and it's pathetic. And so we do want something done. I mean, during the Obama administration, there were efforts at immigration reform. I think it stalled in the Senate, if I'm remembering correctly, in 2014. But either way, I mean, the Senate didn't even want to vote on it. They didn't even consider it.
Yeah, I mean, they've had years and years and years to do something. And you can say, hey, look, they just don't agree. And that's fair. But the Republicans keep claiming that they want immigration reform. And then when you propose immigration reform, and one, by the way, that is draconian, it's twice indentured servitude. You have to work 14 years here in basically manual labor before you have a chance to become a citizen. And they're like, yeah, not good enough. Nope, not good enough. What do you want it to be, 21 years? How long do you want it? No, their whole lives?
They don't want them here.
They don't want them here because in their minds, put aside the racism for a second, and no matter how you slice it, the effect of their action winds up becoming racist. But their number one motivation for the Republican politicians is, we think Latinos, and it's true, Latinos do vote for Democrats on average more than they vote for Republicans. So let's just keep Latinos out of the country, otherwise they'll vote against us. Or maybe you could try to help the Latinos in this country, and then they might vote for you. I know, crazy idea.
Well, also keep in mind, a lot of Latinos are deeply religious.
Right.
And so that could be a giant voting bloc for the Republican Party, but they're so vicious against Latinos that it actually, they end up hurting themselves.
That's what I love. Trump kisses the Bible. He's going to say Corinthians 2 or whatever it was he said. And, this is, one of the most vibrant Christian regions in the entire planet. And that just goes to show it's not about Christianity, it's about being a white Christian.
Look, guys, last thing on this is that for months now, the polling has showed independents 60% against Donald Trump. It's in that ballpark. It varies a little bit, but not by much. And if you lost 60% of independents, tick, 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 tick. So this election, especially in the House, is going to be a disaster for the Republicans. And not only, man, whatever Latino votes they had, they're trying to drive them away with great fervor. Obviously, they've lost African Americans, they've lost women that are about 2/3 against Donald Trump now. I mean, these are monstrous numbers. And now they've lost independents, and all the reasonable independents. We saw it in a CNN panel. They were Trump voters who were independents, and they had all turned on him. Now you see it in a Fox News panel, and they all say, no, not buying what you're selling. Tick, 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 tick. This Republican Party is in a world of trouble.
What's astonishing to me is all of this against the backdrop of a relatively healthy economy by comparative, standards for the U.S. When you have those conditions, it's usually supposed to be a gimme to the party that's in power, and that his numbers are this low with the economic metrics being what they are.
Yeah, so we talked a lot about how we think the metrics that people use are not the correct ones. Stock market.
I agree.
No,
and
obviously
mean relatively.
No, yeah, absolutely. So we're worried that wages are flat because they are, et cetera. But normally, when the stock market is up and unemployment is down, the party that's in control does well. He's doing terribly despite those numbers. And despite the media saying, look, the media is beating him up on other things because they have to. They're not beating him up, they're just correcting him. He says there's Middle Easterners in the caravan. It's a total lie, 100% lie. I mean, if you don't say that that's not true, you're not a reporter, right? But on the other hand, because they want to be quote unquote fair, they turn around and they're like, oh, the economy's booming, economy's wonderful, the stock market's up, we're all rich. Anyway, the stock market's great, right? And they say that stuff. And still 60% of independents are against it.
Right.
Imagine if the economy and those metrics that they pay attention to turned a little bit. Oh. So now there's 2 weeks before the election, but it doesn't matter, man. This guy is deeply, deeply unpopular. There is no magic. He was just running against Hillary Clinton, the most establishment candidate there ever was. The country, the jury's come in on him, man. When 6 out of 10 people, including independents, don't like you, you're in for a world of hurt. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.